Hey there, my friend. Thank you for joining us today. This is our 300th episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. 300th episode. You guys, that's a lot of episodes. So I am thrilled to be bringing you our special 300th episode. I'm Wendy Batten. I'm your host, and I am so, as I said, happy that you're here. This is not going to be an average special 300th episode post. I will tell you, my team and I went around and around, and I just had all these ideas of what we would do here for our 300th episode. And when it came right down to it, I am currently recording this in a sunny, gorgeous Saturday afternoon. I'm looking at the snow and the ice from my window, outside the window of my office. And I had a moment of, I'm just going to tell them what's on my mind. So I'm doing that. It's nothing special. We were going to do interviews. I was going to pull out all of our top episodes. I was going to pull out some of the top stories that we've had, some of the episodes guests that we've had on here, some clips. I was going to rehash all our best ones. And you know what? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. This is my podcast. I can do what I want. No, I decided that I am just going to share some truths, some things that are on my mind. And I thought it would be a great episode to do that. I am talking a little bit about being a long haul leader and a business owner. And that has been the conversation I've had with a lot of retailers lately. In it for the long haul, in it for a while. I've shared a couple of things on Instagram lately, and it just feels like it's been sparking and conversations have been sparking. It's not always easy doing things, especially 300 times. So buckle up. This is going to be a podcast episode for those of you who are interested in being long haul, long lifers, if you will, doing things for a while, not just running a business for a short period of time. Hopefully that describes you. Hopefully you're building a business that you want to last. As many of you know, I've been in this gig for a long time. I've been running retail coaching for a long time, self-employed for almost 3 decades, and 300 podcasts. Just seems like a lot. So I just wanted to be honest with you about some things that are on my heart this time around, and as we're celebrating our 300th. So let's jump into it. Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. Okay, I don't know where this is going to go. So I do have notes, but I am going to talk off my heart today. So first of all, I know most people do their 300th episode and they talk about stats and all the things. I can do that. And if anybody, I'm an open book. If anybody is interested in podcast stats, I can tell you we have 115,000 downloads, which blows my mind. I know in the world of podcasting, there's probably people listening who have millions, but there's also a lot for me to think about. 115,000 downloads is a lot. And I don't know, just 115,000 people listened. I don't know, just kind of freaks me out a little bit in a good way, A few other things. We've had 72 guests on the podcast. I'm just so grateful and thank you. And if you've ever been a guest here on the Creative Shop Talk podcast, I want to say thank you for listening. It's very rare. I'm also learning the stats around the fact, I want to call it rare air, see what I did there, to reach 300 podcasts. Most podcasts don't make it past 7 episodes. So we've made it way past that. So I'm kind of proud of that. And you know what? Anybody who wants to know anything else about just reach out to me. If you have any questions, I am willing to share. What I find is a lot of people gatekeep all their information around podcasting. So I don't want to gatekeep, but I also don't want to bore you with my stats. So let's just move on and talk a little bit about, I want to share a little bit with you today about what's on my heart, about building things that are consistent. 300 episodes, it's a lot. How I feel about doing podcasting. I thought I would share a little bit about that, and how I feel about consistency. And I'm really proud of myself. I've very rarely missed, I don't think I've missed a week of podcasting unless it's a designed break. So we've had a few design breaks over the years. I'm going into my seventh year podcasting. Fun fact, I started podcasting the Creative Shop podcast the week that COVID hit. March 2020 is when we started, and we had a whole bunch of podcasts uploaded. I was actually on my way. I was going to travel. I was traveling for about a month doing mastermind coaching. I was going to my mastermind, and then I was hosting a mastermind group. I was traveling quite a bit. I was speaking in a couple of places while I was supposed to do all of that. So I had my first, I think, 7 podcast episodes done, and then they were all irrelevant. So we just started podcasting like at the time. So those all kind of went in the trash and we just started over again. So it started off kind of bumpy, lumpy. I don't know. What is that? Anyhow, but 300 of anything is a lot. So almost 7 years of doing the same thing. And here's what I want to talk about a little bit about consistency. So consistency is great as long as it has a purpose. So I can tell you till I'm blue in the face, I'm going to podcast for the rest of my life. But as a business owner, we have to ask ourselves, why are we doing this? Is it still resonating? Is it still does it still make sense? Is it still part of my marketing plan? Is it working? Do you like listening to this podcast? So a lot of times, and I'll be honest with you, and again, hear my heart. I love chatting with you on the podcast here. I love the feedback we get when listeners actually comment, because unlike Facebook Lives or Instagram or anything else, there's not a lot of feedback unless somebody actually takes the time to email you or leave a review. So thank you for those of you who have done that, because I do wonder sometimes. I'm always weirded out in a very good way when people tell me that they've binge listened to me. And we have to, as business owners, even when we don't feel like it, you guys know this, even if we don't feel like it, and there's been times, I'm going to be honest, I'm human, that I just don't feel like it, but I have to. So we do a little bit, and I say we, my team and I, primarily led by me. I initiate some of these digging through the data and all that kind of thing. Why are we doing the podcast? It's a question that we need to be asking ourselves quite regularly, no matter what we're doing. Consistency without any kind of strategy or planning around it is just a waste of time. So if you're posting every day on Facebook, or you're doing something every day, or you're doing something consistently, and you're like, well, I'm doing it consistently because that's what the world tells me I should be doing, it doesn't really matter sometimes if it's not getting you where you want to go or the results you want to get. So you have to know why you're doing it. So we did some digging. I did some digging and, asking myself, do I still like doing this? And I do. So we will be continuing, by the way, in our podcasting here on the Creative Shop Talk podcast. But I did look at the data and we did a little bit of digging. So we do, I should say, monthly, we look at the podcast stats. My team, including, I have a great team, by the way. So my husband is part of our podcasting team, and he does a lot of work. He does all the stats and all that stuff that I don't really like doing, but I do get to look at the results. And Morgan, who does a lot of my podcast notes and helping me, through all the things. And we were looking at it and looking at the data, and the data says it's still worth doing. And then I also look at, do I like doing it? Is this still something that I want to do? Because it's energy, right? Nothing awesome happens without energy and enthusiasm. Y'all know that. I say it a lot. So nothing good happens without energy and enthusiasm. So if I'm not energetic about it, there's not much sense doing it. So I do doing it. One of the things that I have been thinking about, and I wanted to share here today, is thinking about the passion around why we do things. So even right down to, why do I do what I do for a living? Like, why am I coaching retailers, and do I still like it? I mean, we all do this every now and then. I am a big believer in understanding and knowing why we're trying. If you've ever been a client of mine, I've asked you that question. Like, you have to have a clear why. You have to know why you're trying, because on the crappy days, on the hard days, you need to understand what your mission is. Do you still love doing this? And I do. I still love sharing. I still love coaching. I still love podcasting. I still love doing the things. But with a shift, I will say there has been some shifts, and we'll talk about that in a second. One of the other things that's really important, I want to remind you that my business was built definitely on passion. I'm just really passionate about what I do. You probably are too. When I started my store, I was really passionate about it. When I had my coffee shop, I was really passionate about it. And passion burns brightly, right? It burns so brightly for a while. And I always liken it to a campfire. I'm an outdoors girl. I like the campfires. I like fires. You can think of it however you want. I am a very visual person. I like to imagine things and visualize things. So I do think of my passion for my business and my life and my energy as a campfire. So big flames, burning bright, let's go. Campfire's hot and, going great. But there's also times where it's just embers, right? Just low and slow. And, and there are things in our business, in our life, that help with our passion. Those are called fuels, things that are fuels for our fire, and they light our flame up and they make the fire bright, and high. And there's things that dampen our fires, right? Or our campfires, things that they're drains. I call them drains. So we have to really be careful, or I have to be careful. I can only speak for myself, but I hope you take a little bit of, thought from this. We can't burn brightly all the time. That is not self-employed life. That is not passion. Passion you can be passionate about something, but if we're like always passionate about it, that's hard to maintain. So I just want to remind you that, making sure that you're taking care of your fuel, things that fuel you and your business and your passion, and they evolve. As our business evolves, so does our role in it. So does our passion, right? Especially if you're doing something that you love doing and you would do it for free. What is that saying? Would you do it for free if you won $1 million or whatever? Maybe, but you can't, like, when you start monetizing everything that you do, especially if you're a creative and you're doing any kind of creative or specialty retail, which I know a lot of you are, sometimes that wanes into your passion. All that CEO stuff, all that stuff we have to do, it does cut into our passion, right? And I don't know a whole lot of people that are super passionate about all the operational side of running a business, but that has to be part of our passion. So even sitting down doing podcasts forever, it's, not necessarily my passion. I love doing it because I love sharing, and I have to remember back to my why I'm doing it, who I'm doing it for, and is it necessary in my business? Is this a fuel? Just thinking about also, again, knowing why I'm trying, but also, okay, let me tell you about, this is the messy part. My poor podcast editor right now is going to be like, do I cut that out? Do I keep this? Understanding why we're trying. Let's go back to that. Understand why I'm trying. So for me, I'm trying. My mission is to share what I know, but I get so passionate about seeing the ripples in your community from my community. And I say your community because I'm thinking of all of the people I get to work with and all of the cool things they're doing. And I get pure joy watching them succeed and watching results, I guess, if you will, from my clients. So that's been really fun and interesting, and that keeps me going. I love that I get to work with the best humans. I'm at a situation right now where I have curated, and I don't know if my messaging's gotten out there. I've just attracted the right people, or I've set up the right boundaries, but I love working with the coolest humans. I get to work with the coolest humans, and I love that. So there's also what I call my Thrive list. And I have talked about it a little tiny bit here. If you're in my Retailers Inner Circle program, it's in our annual planning system. A Thrive list, it's kind of poo-pooed a lot. So what I mean by that is like, you're like, oh yes, Wendy and her Thrive list. But honestly, I don't know if I'm at an age now, I'm getting a little older, or maybe more experienced. I don't know. But you know what? Life first, and you've heard me say that if you've been listening for a while, we have to have energy and enthusiasm so we can maintain our passion. So we have to have all of our life buckets full. Like we have to make sure that we are enjoying life. Life is meant to be fun. Business is meant to be fun. Yes, there's hard bits, but we can't do the hard bits if we're depleted in the other bits. So my Thrive list includes all of these things that fuel Wendy, things that I love to do, things that interest me, relationships, my environment, all of the things. And work is one of the things on my Thrive list, but I need to make sure it doesn't take everything like I have in me. So a Thrive list, and again, I can do a whole podcast episode on that if we're interested in that. But one of the things for me that has changed and evolved as my role has changed and evolved, my clientele has changed and evolved. I'm getting better at not being so available. I'm getting better at, I don't know, I'm getting better at habits. I'm getting better at execution. I'm getting better at doing things new ways and delegating. I'm getting better all the time. And that's what we're doing, right? We're evolving as our role evolves. But one thing that has creeped into my life lately, as my business is evolving and as I'm evolving, because I'm a lot older now than when I, started. And this is true for all of us. We're always evolving. My self-employed life is because I'm by nature, I'm a super creative thinker. And maybe you are too. A lot of entrepreneurs, we're just born to be creative thinkers, right? And to have different ideas. And that's for me. And I know I've shared this, and maybe some of you have worked with me, have heard me talk about this, but I get this creative itch sometimes. So I don't want to throw everything away. I don't want to throw my whole business away or anything, but I just have this creative itch to do different things. And I've shared this again on podcasts before, that sometimes we have to make sure we're filtering through what do we actually want? Does our business still fuel us? And we'll link to some of the podcast episodes where I've talked about that. So I've done that work myself, right? The self-employed creative itch is there. So again, when it comes to podcasting, when it comes to coaching, when it comes to all of the things, where does my creative itch fit into this? And how I've decided it's okay to have other things and do other things. So I've been kind of fueling some other things while I streamline and amplify and simplify a lot of things in my retail coaching business. And I think that's okay, right? It's okay. I'm fueling and I'm making note of the things that fuel my campfire. My campfire, my business, my campfire, my life, all the things. And I'm taking note of things that drain and when I don't really feel good about it. So we've been making some changes in our business, in the business model. We're reviewing everything. And this is something I do with a lot of my clients, my coaching clients, what's working, what's not working, what feels heavy, what doesn't feel heavy, or what doesn't feel heavy. Yeah. What doesn't feel heavy, what's fun, I guess is how I wanted to say that. So really being in alignment to your business. Here we are, 300 podcasts in. Is the podcast still something that I want to keep doing? Absolutely. Coaching? Absolutely. Absolutely love it. What I have refined, I don't know if that's even the right term here, but what I have been really focusing on is just really refining who it is I work with and why I do what I do. And so there's lots of different, explanations of who I work with, but when it comes right down to it, I work best, and I'm learning who I work best with. Shop owners who are done winging it. They care, or they know they should care about their numbers, their reputation, and they're not letting their business run their whole life, or they're trying to figure out how not to let the business run their whole life. They want to make things work better. They're not trying to make things harder or more complicated. They're past that stage. I love working people who are coachable, and I love working with people who are intentional and follow through. The reason I'm saying all of this is because those are the things that I've had to learn to do as well too. I've got to learn to be intentional, or I've been learning to be intentional, been learning to follow through, and all of those things. So just building a better, stronger business. I don't know. That's my goal, but really in simplified way. So one of the things I wanted to just share today is to make sure, wrap it up, wrap up my 300th episode by sharing with you that I really hope that you are listening to your nudges and that I've been doing that. And I want to also remind you that it's really important to understand your fuels and drains. What sparks your passion? Because without passion, we cannot keep running a business. You have to have passion. Again, it's not always going to be sparked high and the flames full on. And there's going to be times when it's just the embers, but we do have to make sure the embers are still there and that you're still sparked by it. You're still loving it. You're still enjoying it. It's still passionate for you. And really understanding what are the fuels, the life fuels that keep you thriving, keep your fire burning, and what are the logs? I kind of like, again, I love to look at this visually. What are the things when you think of adding logs to your fire, adding logs that are good, the good things in your life, making sure that there's more of those happening on a day-to-day basis. So for me, I'll just tell you some of mine. I need time to have nothing on my calendar. That's a fuel for me. There's a log. I need to be around really cool people. I love, like, I curate, I don't like hanging around, like, I've curated, I don't know if that's weeded out my garden. I don't know, all those things that you hear people say, but like the people around me are good, positive mindset people. I don't like to hang around with a lot of negative people. I don't have those kind of energies in my world. I love to travel because I'm very curious. So my curiosity gets filled by travel and exploring and seeing places. I love having a project to work on. So my Creative Itch project is, something I'm working on. Right now I'm working my Creative Itch. I'll share that. My Creative Itch right now is that I'm working with non-retailers who are midlife women who are looking through their next chapter and how they're growing. I love that. That's become my new sort of creative itch, along with retail coaching, which again, there's no change there. We're just simplifying that. I'm keeping my passion up with that by filling my creative itch of building something new or building something in addition. The drains. Wow, I have drains. I have lots of drains. I don't even know if I should share some of those drains. I have my little list here. But, when I find that there's projects I'm working on that are not fueling, they're not a log, they're a drain. It's almost like they're like a cup of water onto my fire. So when I feel something draining, when I feel something that's sucking the life out of me and like a cup of water on my fire, I really take note of that. And then I ask myself, is this something that's necessary in my life? Again, I have drained friends, or I had drained friends. I don't anymore. Like, I'm really curating that. Even in conversations with people, what are fuel conversations? What's on social media? Like, what are the logs and what are the glasses of water? Literally, that's how I think about it, because I'm kind of weird that way. But at the end of the day, I look at my drains or I look at my fuels and I do more of the fuels and I do less of the drains, and I figure out how I can delete it or defer it, take it off my plate, give it to somebody else, get rid of it altogether, scratch it right off the list. Anyhow, I hope some of this makes sense. I feel like maybe this won't even go live. But again, listen to your nudges, pay attention to what your fuels are, pay attention to what your drains are, really assessing your business, thinking about, again, your passions and, your right fit clients and all of that. And thank you for listening to my rambles here today. I hope something here has sparked for you. I just wanted to be truthful about sometimes we do things that are consistent, and I'm really proud of 300 podcast episodes. I know where we can, I'm learning where we can do better, always learning, right? Because as we evolve, we learn. I'm learning where we can do better. I love hearing from you. I love doing the podcast, but I did have to sit with it. Do I love doing the podcast? Is it working? Is it part of like our marketing eco-structure? Does it work? And yeah, I love doing it. I love hearing from you. I love that you love it. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you'll continue listening even after Wendy's ramble. And hopefully there was a nugget here, something that you took away from me just sharing what's on my heart today about how just because it's consistent, just because we're doing 300, and I am celebrating, I am very proud of that number. And I am going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep moving forward in like such cool ways. So I hope something here, again, I hope something sparked here for you and you don't think I'm crazy. And again, if there's any way, if this spoke to you in any way, if there's any way I can support you, if there's any way I can serve you, please lean in, please reach out. You can find me, reach out to me. Let's continue this conversation. If you find self-employed life sometimes fueling or draining, I would love to hear from you. I would love, like, jump into my DMs. Let's continue that conversation over if in my Instagram at wendybatten.biz. If you're in a container with me, if you're in a coaching container, reach out to me in any of the ways that we've talked. Let's open that conversation up. I would just love to know, like, what's fueling you? What's draining you? How do you feel? Does the fire analogy speak to anybody else? Because self-employed life, it takes a lot out of you. And again, I know we're building resiliency. I know we have to keep our passion up, but we also need to take care of ourselves, right? We need to make sure we're taking care of the things that we need. And for me, as I mentioned, that little creative itch, I'm taking care of that as well too. And staying curious. I'm staying curious about what I want for my business and in the way that I can serve you best. So thank you for listening to my rambling 300th post, my 300th episode. I hope something was a takeaway, a golden nugget for you. If you found this helpful, please make sure you're subscribed, comment, all of the things. It's really, really helpful in the podcast world to leave a review and share it with anybody else. It's crazy how the podcast world works. And again, open to talking to anybody about the podcast world if you'd like. I feel like sharing is knowledge, and I don't obviously talk a lot about podcasting per se here, but if you're starting a podcast or if you're interested in starting one or you want to talk about it, jump in. But I will tell you, your reviews and your comments, they mean a lot. They mean a lot to us. So I really appreciate any of them and letting me know how you think about my rambling 300th post. All right, we're wrapping it up. Thank you for listening. I will see you back here next week. We are continuing our 4-part series, our mystery series, our March mystery series. Again, getting a little crazy here on the podcast. Thank you for listening, my friend. See you next week. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.